Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Davo from Archon Esports, bringing you another 1v1 StarCraft 2 cast today. Excellent. This time on Antigua Shipyard between StjarNaN in the right hand side, who is our blue Protoss, and in the bottom of the screen we have our red Protoss, who today is EGiNcontrol. Awesome! Here on the nameplate, so we don't forget that. Excellent. So StjarNaN, I believe that's StjarNaN, is saying, hey, I love what you're doing for esports. EGiNcontrol, of course, is one of the main pillars that holds up the State of the Game show, which is a very, very good show indeed. Very fun. They have lots of really nice guests on there sometimes, like Idra. I saw the Muslim on there once. And yeah, so there we go. A little bit of background info about EGiNcontrol there. So he is one of the pillars that holds up the state of the game very nicely. He is from the USA, and he is American also. He is 26. Excellent. He played Zerg in Brood War. He's actually been playing since the StarCraft 1 beta. To just give you an idea of how experienced this player is, he has been playing for a very, 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 very long time. He has also been with Team EG for a long time as well. He has been with Team EG since they started up their StarCraft division, as it were. So he's a very, very good player, very talented, and he's quite the people person. He does a lot of stuff for the community. Really, really good guy. Okay, so StjarNaN, and that is how I'm going to say his name. Is going to be StjarNaN. He is Swedish and 20, or at least he is based in Sweden. His name, StjarNaN, actually means the star in Swedish, so that is awesome. It's pretty cool to have an alternate meaning for your name. Excellent. Well, I guess the Swedish word for your name. That's really, really cool. Excellent. I believe that this is a ladder game on either North American or European servers. I'm going to go ahead and guess that it's the North American servers, though. Excellent. So we do have EGiNcontrol now scouting, unfortunately, the wrong base twice, which can be a little bit of a downer, but StjarNaN actually getting... Yep. Oh, no, he went cross positions first, and then to the right instead to make sure that his opponent was there. So I guess it's kind of a lucky guess for StjarNaN at this point in time, and he is doing the ultimate early game pro BM and stealing some of EGiNcontrol's minerals from his base and attempting to run away. I'm sure this stalk that is about to pop out will have something to say about the mineral scrumping that has just taken place from this probe. By the way, if you steal fruit from trees, it is called scrumping, and that is the StarCraft equivalent. So the probe has been doing a little bit of mineral scrumping. Excellent. That's basically, I suppose that kind of thing happened in the Victorian era. Yeah, okay. It kind of happened in the Victorian era, where people would steal fruit off trees, and then they invented a word for it and called it scrumping, or at least I believe that's what happened. Excellent. So the probe that has done a little bit of scrumping is being zapped continuously. Oh, but this stalker might actually be able to kill off our naughty probe today with a little bit of nice micro from EGiNcontrol, though it does look like the scrumping probe might actually get away with it, but unfortunately, nope, that stalker is going to take out the probe with the mineral still in its little mouth, thus evaporating the probe and all the minerals involved, which is 5. Ouch. Okay, so we do have StjarNaN going for an early robotics core. Well, I suppose a normal robotics core and a 2-gate, so it looks like it's going to be a 2-gate robotics, which is a nice kind of build, very, very strong against other Protoss, actually, economically strong as well. A good one of these can actually counter a 4-gate quite nicely if done correctly as well. Okay, and we do actually have EGiNcontrol going and getting a Twilight Council instead of a robotics core. Both players putting a pylon here, which is very, very good for spawning units on the low ground, meaning that they'll be able to go and attack each other pretty quickly, which of course can work to their benefit. Stalker's in the middle of the map here, or near the middle of the map, looking like they might be setting out to do an assault fairly soon. This probe here as well, looking like he's actually going to go and grab the watchtower, make sure there's nothing crazy on the way as well from his opponent. StjarNaN also probably scouting around here with this probe for proxy pylons, which could happen at this point in time. EGiNcontrol taking out some of his, I don't know, taking out some rage on that small robot. Did you just kill my automaton? Yes, says EGiNcontrol. So it looks like it's war. I'll avenge him. Definitely looks like it could be a really interesting game now, seeing as the players are at each other's throats. StjarNaN wants nothing more than to kill EGiNcontrol's entire army and all of his buildings, especially to avenge that automaton that went down pretty quickly there, I must say, at the hands of these 5 merciless stalkers. Oh, how threatening do they look. Pretty threatening indeed. So we do have a proxy pylon up here from EGiNcontrol as well, which will of course allow him to warp units in pretty much right next to StjarNaN's base. So StjarNaN will actually have to find that pretty quickly. He doesn't know it's actually there yet. He is also getting Blink, which is something that EGiNcontrol actually already has. So StjarNaN might want to stick a Chrono Boost down on that Blink, but of course he doesn't actually know that his opponent has that just yet, I don't believe. So, I mean, there's no rush for him to be doing that anyway. So we do have StjarNaN coming out with some Immortals right now as well, and Immortals are of course a very good unit indeed, especially against Stalkers. Immortals are incredibly resistant to pretty much all damage apart from that with low numbers that comes regularly, such as that of Zerglings or Zealots or anything like that. But anything basically that's a hard hitter, Immortals do fairly well against. Also, Immortals have a bonus amount of damage against armoured units, and seeing as that is what mostly EGiNcontrol has at the moment, is Stalkers, and they are armoured mechanical units. Generally speaking, Immortals are really good. Really good against Stalkers, actually. Okay, so we do have proxy pylons all over the map pretty much now from EGiNcontrol as well, which is actually something that I believe that you don't see too often, like actually enough from Protoss players. It does look like perhaps StjarNaN will be blinking down here to join the rest of his army. Awesome, excellent confusion just there. Wow, cool beans. It's also a pretty good idea to note as well that this map is pretty vulnerable for each player. I mean, EGiNcontrol could blink up this cliff here and straight into StjarNaN's base, do quite a lot of damage. I mean, really, if he was left alone for long enough, he could run in, quickly focus down some pylons, or maybe even perhaps the Nexus, run back over here and blink straight back down the cliff with very minimal losses indeed, and that would be a treat to watch. It does look like EGiNcontrol's pylon has been found by this little probe, and a Stalker is going to go and destroy it right now as well. Both players taking their expansions now at about the 11-minute 30 mark, which is pretty standard timing in general for a PvP game. And we do have the Stalkers and Immortals moving forward a little bit now, and they will be sniping that pylon off the high ground right now as well. These red Stalkers need to be a little bit careful that they don't get too close to the edge, otherwise StjarNaN could actually put some force fields around the back of them. But of course then EGiNcontrol could simply blink those Stalkers completely out of danger. And I love how mobile Blink makes Stalkers with some really nice force fields there. They could have actually caught some of the Immortals and Sentries in the ramp, and that would have been a pretty nasty situation indeed. But it does look like soon we might expect a rather large attack. I'm not sure if these players know that each other have Blink, but at this point in time, I'm sure it would be a pretty safe assumption if you're one of these players to kind of assume that your enemy has Blink. Of course, we have EGiNcontrol here keeping some Stalkers on the high ground, just in case StjarNaN actually does blink up this cliff, but he will need some vision of the high ground in order to do that, like an observer or something like that to pop out, which he doesn't actually have at the moment, is an observer. So we do have a pretty large battle coming in here. but StjarNaN using the mobility of his Stalkers to blink straight back out of EGiNcontrol space, just doing a little bit of pushing, nothing too much. He doesn't want to commit too much against this very, very powerful Zealot and Immortal mix, which could damage this Stalker mix irreparably. But I mean, as we do say, the mobility of the Stalkers is really, really, really good, and generally speaking, Stalkers are very mobile against Zealots in any case, let alone if the Stalkers have Blink. Now we do have an Archon on the way as well from EGiNcontrol at the moment too, and it does look like StjarNaN is actually going to be blinking up into EGiNcontrol's base right now, just like I mentioned earlier, and maybe even perhaps focusing down his robotics facility, and now StjarNaN could leave. But if he blinks back down the cliff, EGiNcontrol will be waiting there with quite a lot of Immortals and some Archons as well. But it doesn't actually look like EGiNcontrol is going to win this Stalker battle up top here. So that puts him in a very, very difficult position indeed, as he was expecting his opponent to blink down the cliff, but he didn't. Unfortunately, EGiNcontrol is actually going to lose quite a lot of stuff here. Losing quite a lot of pylons here too, which will need to be rebuilt in order to compensate the size of his army later. Now these heavier hitting units are coming back in, StjarNaN blinks his Stalkers down to safety, and that was a very, very, very effective attack indeed from StjarNaN. Really good attack. I really, really like that attack. Very, very effective use of Blink there, not being too aggressive, and he did actually win the fight on top of the plateau with the Stalkers, and of course EGiNcontrol manoeuvred his Zealots and Immortals round, but then lost the fight on top, which is bad, bad news, unfortunately. So we do have a third base out now from StjarNaN as well, and we do have a pretty large we had a pretty large push coming from StjarNaN as well, but again, EGiNcontrol's units are very, very powerful. They're of a very high caliber. You've got, let's see, 4 Archons, 4 Immortals, and about 10 Zealots. That is not a force to be meddled with, but it has to be said that StjarNaN's force is actually a little bit more mobile than EGiNcontrol's at the moment. EGiNcontrol also not rebuilding his robotics core at the moment either, so I mean StjarNaN could actually go and grab some Colossi if he would like. And we do have StjarNaN going and causing some trouble in EGiNcontrol's mineral line right now, but he is actually getting chased by some Zealots as well. Unfortunately, Stalkers are much faster than Zealots and simply leave them in the dust. With the Blink upgrade, it really, really lets Protoss players do what they like. But this is quite a formidable force. Actually, this is quite a lot of stuff. Really, I mean, the only thing that I could see that could stop this is the fact that StjarNaN is actually researching his 2 weapons, and EGiNcontrol doesn't have any upgrades at all, let alone any on the way. So he will have to be kind of careful about how this attack comes out, because after this, I mean, 2 weapons can make quite a large difference. But this is a pretty formidable force. It'll be quite interesting to see what happens here. We have StjarNaN stocking up on Zealots as well, because he will need quite a lot of Zealots to manage the amount of Zealots that are actually on the field here from EGiNcontrol. It does look like this Nexus will go down. I'd be surprised if it doesn't. And with some really, really nice force field play, StjarNaN could actually really, really make it so this attack isn't as damaging for him. We do have quite a lot of Archons on the way, well, here as well for StjarNaN as well, which will do quite a lot of damage against these Zealots. And it does look like we're going to have quite a nice attack here as well. All the Zealots meeting each other, but unfortunately the red Zealots coming round on top of the blue ones, giving them a better surround. Now we do have StjarNAN's units being almost completely surrounded by Zealots here, and more Zealots streaming in for EGiNcontrol. That was a pretty even fight, but unfortunately I think StjarNaN is actually going to come out on top of that. Perhaps maybe actually because of the Immortals, because Archons are pretty hard hitters. A lot of EGiNcontrol's Zealots went down quite quickly, and he did GG out of the game, unfortunately. I mean, that blink up there from StjarNaN was really, really, really nice indeed. And overall, it was a really, really good game. Very fun to watch. I think StjarNAN's positioning was a little bit kind of better. His Zealots were out front. And that's basically it. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you had a nice time watching. Enjoy playing StarCraft. Have a nice day, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Cheers. Bye-bye.